everybody talks about environment and sustainability. We also mentioned that. How is environment and capex interlinked to the sectors you operate in, which is steel, cement, power, and more importantly, who pays for it? The private sector, the government sector, or should multilateral agencies like the G20 or IMF should step in?
So I think the global warming or the change in environment is a real thing. And so therefore the energy has to become sustainable, and we cannot afford to continue to burn the fossil fuel and keep polluting the environment and creating more and more CO2 into the atmosphere. So all our businesses, unfortunately, are very CO2 emitting businesses, whether it is steel, power, or cement. And so these are difficult businesses, and therefore there's a huge amount of concentration in how to optimize, how to improve, while continue to grow, how to improve and reduce the risk of generating more and more environmental damaging gases. And that's where a huge focus is there. And therefore, in our power generation business, renewable power is the way forward. But my basic theme or thought process is that ultimately it's the economics which drives everything. As long as we can have economic solutions, like for example the renewable power today, whether it is solar or wind or pump storage or hydro, it's becoming more and more, because of the evolution of technology, it's becoming more and more cost competitive versus fossil fuel based electricity. Similarly, steel, in the steel production, you burn more coal, which is very expensive. So you want to bring in new technology by injecting hydrogen and stuff like that, so that you can reduce your burning of coal. So these are the sustainable ways of doing business, and that's where the whole industry globally is working, and India also is focusing on that. But I think India still, these are early days because we are a new country, new developing country. We have to build, but Europe is taking the lead. On the second question, that how the multilateral agencies will they
or who
fund?
Should? Should the private sector, should the government sector, or should some agencies like IMF or
So
G20 take the proactive steps?
Correct. So one thing is very clear: the customer is not going to pay for all these extra costs. If you want to make green steel, then obviously it will be much more expensive than what is the way it is being produced today. But customer is not going to pay for that. So, so whether the government will pay, I don't think in India the government is going to pay. In Europe, governments are paying. They are providing a lot of subsidies to the steel industry or to the other industries, and that is also becoming a sort of restrictive practices, that so that imports of steel into Europe won't happen. So that's how the European countries are doing this whole strategy. But in India, we as industry, we don't believe that though Mr. Kant is sitting here, that the government will be able to pay for these kind of thing. There could be some sort of cross subsidy could probably happen, that they will put more tax on coal and then subsidize some industries. But I'm not a great believer of government supporting or subsidizing, and I don't even want that. That should not happen. We have to sustain ourselves. We have to create our own ways to do. So, and in I think COP26, the European or the Western countries had promised $100 billion for the emerging markets or for the new countries, but not a single dollar has come into any country. So therefore, I don't expect even that money coming in.